and talk about and hear the discussions that we have about so many of the topics. There's two clipboards coming around. Who I gave them to Woody. I have it in my notes today, or in my trumpet, that there's one that lists the members, and you'll have your name, and it shows what committee you are currently listed on. The other one lists the committees and your names of who's in each committee. Please go through. If you want to change, now's a good time to change. As we come into the fall and the committees really get geared up and get going, just make notes. I will change it in the database, and that lets the committee chairs also know who they're going to be working with in the coming year. Eileen Prokop has a new job. Eileen? Eileen is going to be working as an administrative assistant for District 7430, which is very cool. So thank you for that. So we had A.G. Rick is now with 7430. So apparently there's a recruiting drive going on here that they're picking the best people from our club. I like that. Sal is looking for volunteers for the table. Do you want to say anything about that, Sal?
Yeah, we just need 2 more people for next week. Someone to do the invocation, and I'm not sure about Brad and I. We have to cover. And then one and agree. So let me know for next week.
Okay, great, thank you. A reminder, Rick and Mario, and you want to say anything about the golf outing and the raffle tickets? Mario apparently is going to say something.
13th annual golf outing is coming up September 13th. Anyone that's interested in seeing me for any tickets, riders on the table, I can email them.
It's actually the 14th, Mario, but that's okay.
It's the 14th annual, I believe, yeah. That's what it says on everything we printed, so.
What do I know?
Just a thought.
The prizes are all fake too now. Yeah.
It's all a donation. The raffle prize, we're going to try to sell 400 tickets this year, $100 a piece, 6 great prizes. We had a trip to 150th Open, St. Andrews, Punta Cana,
Shangha's.
Shangha's, City Store, and a Visa gift card. So any interest in me, if she writes it down for tickets as well.
Today, the tickets are $100, right? Just today, so make sure you get your tickets today. They're $100.
Yeah, 120 next week.
Special price today, $100. Okay. Go.
I have a request regarding the foundation. I just talked to one of the Rotarians this morning. If you have recently signed up for Rotary Direct, or if you make a contribution directly to the foundation, if you would let me know, I'd appreciate it, because when you do that directly, I don't get any notification. So it really helps me on record keeping. Anybody that's been in the Rotary Direct or is a Paul Harris Society member for a number of years, don't worry about it. I have that notice, but the Rotarian I just talked to said she signed up about a year ago, and I had no record of it. So if you're sending it directly, or if you're on Rotary Direct with a monthly contribution, let me know. It helps me with the record.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bill. I have one more presidential announcement. One of the things I've learned through the president-elect training is this club has a succession plan that is different, not different, it is different from many other clubs. I talk to other club presidents, and they say, well, I say, well, who's your club president next year? They say, we don't know yet. I say, we know for the next 3 years who's going to be the club president. And it's in our bylaws, it's the way it's written, and the current president and the 3 immediate past presidents get together and talk about different options and so on. It is my pleasure to let you know that Eric Locke is now in the line of succession, and I think it's for Eric will be our president. I think it was 20. Is it 24, 25? I counted it out last night. I should have written it down.
I'll wait for the notice.
Trust me, we will let you know, Eric.
At least we can match.
Is Eric the longest tenured member who's stepped into the chair? Is he the longest amount of time between joining and actually becoming the president?
I don't know. Why don't you research that for us, James? Let us know next week, or get a committee together. That'd be even better. That's all I have for my announcements. Other Cindy, club announcements.
Donations from the communities, GoFundMe. we have $36,718 in the account, plus we will be receiving another $5,000 from the Rotary Foundation as our grant is approved. So we are in, knock on wood, fairly good shape going into the new school year and for the rest of the summer as we may need to purchase food. So congratulations to us.
That's super. That is excellent. I passed out the food up at the high school. People are so appreciative. Come up and just, they're just so appreciative that we're helping them out. So great program. Gordon.
Yeah, I'm a member of the Youth Exchange Committee for quite a few years now. It was kind of dormant until Cindy took over and we revitalized it. And of course, I sent out a letter to a lot of my clients and friends about the Rotary golf tournament and prizes, great prizes. So one of the people I sent to was Andrew Dortle. And he wrote back and said, well, I'm not a golfer, but he wanted to update me on his daughter, Nancy Dortle. That was one of our first youth exchange students to Spain. So he said, our daughter Nancy is doing well. Her Rotary experience helped her become fluent in Spanish. She spent a college summer at an El Paso shelter helping families who had come over the border. That influenced her so much, she switched directions and is now about to start her final year of law school for immigration law. She got a full tuition presidential scholarship at Temple for college. She was offered full scholarships for 3 law schools and chose University of Maryland, Baltimore for their program. When she worked in El Paso, she was at Annunciation Hose, a faith-based that has been around for years. So I just want to keep you updated to how valuable the youth exchange program is to our Emmaus High School students.
Very cool.
Announcements?
Quick announcement, dues are due, final call for dues. I sent out reminder emails around July 16th and they're due right away. So get them on in.
Megan?
Tomorrow night is the Iron Pigs game. Everyone who signed up should have already gotten their tickets via email forwarded to them. So keep an eye out in your email. If you didn't get them, let me know right away so Ashley and I can get them for you. If you haven't seen me to pay for your tickets, I was going to try to set up an online way, but I never got it together. So you can just catch up with me whenever you have time to pay for your tickets. And I'll try to send another email out with some details about tomorrow's game, just arrival time, first pitch, and things like that. But you can always find the information for that on the Iron Pigs website as well. Okay, have fun, guys. I won't be there, so you guys cheer it so loud.
Other club announcements? All right, let's go to the, I'm sorry, is there anyone else? Okay, our greeter with the raffle. Dan? George is pulling the winning ticket here.
Is it?
Can you read it?
Yep.
6:45.
Will.
Prize is right here, a home-baked key lime pie. In a refrigerated bag with refrigerants next to it. So there you go. That's compliments of Mr. Wade.
Whoa. Yeah. Well, that's,
Board meeting.
yeah.
We'll have forks and the napkins. We're Sergeant at Arms, you're up.
For those of you that missed the fabulous picnic last night, the sheriff has a new badge.
Ooh.
I should point that out. It's rather big, it's rather audacious, but it's mine. Nellie, did you show up today? Or did Michael Irwin show up today? I'm not sure. I'm a bit confused as to where you might have signed. Okay, if you would be so kind as to fix that and pay a fine, I'd appreciate that muchly. And Eric was so nice to wear a shirt with his business name on it. For those of you that are considering joining, that's a fine, you already paid me, thanks, Eric.
That's because it's our new logo, so I need to show it off.
Well, that's why I highlighted you too, so that people could look at your new logo.
Thank you.
And now look at my badge.
I am, I'm
All
looking.
right.
You need a bigger one.
Courtney was hoping to get in on time. The door opened at 7:30. The ink on the pen that hit the paper was 7:31. And there are strict guidelines I have to follow. There's also a higher budget I have to meet too. So I get a little hefty with the fines.
Can we question the accuracy of the watch?
No.
You can try.
So, are we accepting these yet? Am I allowed to accept, or do I do, it's $1 million?
It's up to you. You are the sergeant at arms and you're making this big decision.
Well, I can put that in this pocket. And when we have use for them later, that'll work for me.
You want to talk about?
Sure, that's fine. I have no problem with it. Thank you. Nothing says we can't use these again, right?
I don't know.
Right.
Okay, let's go to happy dollars. Anybody happy? Val?
So I have, I don't usually do this, I have 100 happy dollars. I
Thank
gave 92 to Bill for the foundation, and so the balance 8 is here. The 92 is, I'm sorry, ruined the budget. 92 is for my mom, who turned 92 on Monday. We had a birthday party over the weekend. She's in great health, thankfully. But I know Rick and I are going through some similar situations, but taking care of our elderly mom. But I have to tell you a funny story, what she's like really quick. I went over and I said, we're coming over, all the grandkids, all the family, we're all coming over and having a birthday cake. And she's like, oh, don't make a fuss. I don't want you to do that. I said, why not? She said, because I know you'll put 92 candles on my cake. And I said, thinking out loud, trying to distract her, I said, no, Mom, because of the COVID, we can't get candles. And with that, she said, oh, there's a bunch of them in the drawer over there. That's what I'm dealing with.
Thank you, Sal.
Yeah.
I have a $2 observation, I may pay dearly for this one, but I just wanted to point out, an audacious big badge fits the personality of the wearer.
You think that's only worth 2? That's a start. That's a start. All right. I believe Lexa has something she wants to say.
Yes, it's about Rotarians liking their pins. I have a $50 check for things undone, done, and yet to do. So I'm finding myself this Mr. Perfect attendance pin that's been in my briefcase for several weeks.
Yeah.
I'm finding myself, because I have so many pins on today, pins from Joanne, and Seal, and the club, including this one that's all dangly and has a diamond on it. Yeah. And I'm telling you things yet to do. I bought myself a ukulele and I'm learning to play.
She'll be using that to lead us in song then in a couple weeks.
No,
Sure.
couple years.
Couple years. Any other happiness? Wade, go for it, buddy.
All right, so I have 5 happy dollars because yesterday I was at a fundraiser for the Pediatric Cancer Foundation, Lehigh Valley. Wonderful organization. I was so very proud of the effort they put together. They had a tremendous turnout over at Triple Sun, and it was fantastic. We contributed a raffle. I got a friend of mine to contribute another raffle. The raffles went really well, so I was very happy about that. And I have an additional $1 because only cool people wear pink. Thanks.
He's molting right now.
Any happy out there? How about on Zoom? Anybody happy out there?
I believe it's time to get back to our speaker.
All right, Megan? Let me just say a word. I want to give many, many thanks to the DBI working group, doing a great job, Jim and Lisa, spearheading that, and today's a very special speaker, and Megan will do the introduction.
All right, well, I know it's the moment you all been waiting for, me reading something long, because I'm not very good at doing it, but today we're gonna welcome our speaker, Peter Jones from the Blue Belt Rotary Club, who's joining us from Zoom. Rotary International District 7430 and our club all value the member experience in maintaining Rotary as a thriving and growing organization. Throughout Rotary, we are recognizing our communities are diversifying, and we want to make sure our club is attracting people from across our community. So we've embarked on an inclusive initiative. Peter is here to tell us more about that. We're very pleased that Peter is joining us today. Peter serves as District 7430 co-chair of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee and is helping lead the district in this effort. He is well qualified to lead us. He's a senior learning and development executive with 25 years of experience and proven success in developing and executing strategies for human capital development, organizational transformation, and operational excellence across the learning function. Peter is currently employed at Independence Blue Cross as the head of enterprise learning and organizational development and oversees all professional development, leadership, and management development, executive coaching, and organizational development initiatives. Peter holds a graduate degree from Columbia University. He lives in Blue Bell with his wife, Kimberly. They've raised 5 adult children who have graduated from college. Peter was recently recognized in Blue Bell Rotary Club by the Blue Bell Rotary Club as Rotarian of the Year for 2020-2021 for his efforts in leading the club's COVID-19 response team, as well as his leadership of the club's diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. So I'll turn it over to Zoom. Welcome, Peter, and thanks for giving us a talk today.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan, and thank all of you for being here with me today. Megan, I just have one quick question. I need to share my screen so that folks can see the presentation. Can you allow me to share my screen?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Peter.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. Excellent. So again, thank you all of you for joining us today. My name is Peter Jones, and again, I'm the co-chair of our District Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. And part of our efforts this year are to reach out to our clubs across the district to talk about what diversity, equity, and inclusion mean. These days, this particular topic can be somewhat challenging because it often carries a political tone. I want to share with you today, as we go through this conversation, that I'm going to be talking from the perspective of what Rotary International and Rotary all over the world looks at in terms of what diversity means to our clubs, in terms of being able to grow our membership, to create a very belonging atmosphere, as well as create a set of belonging clubs that individuals feel welcome to. So as we go through the presentation today, again, I want to let you know that I'm sharing this from the Rotary perspective and starting out really helping us understand that the reason that we're here is we want to continue to grow and diversify our membership, and we want to make sure that we're inclusive of all cultures, experiences, and identities. We really want to grow our clubs with people who have different perspectives so that we can create and help Rotary take action to create lasting change in communities across the world. So with that in mind, what I'm planning to cover today is really just some of the basics around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I hope to be able to educate you and make you more aware of why this is important to Rotary. So as we begin today, I wanted to start off by stating that if you were to go to our Rotary site and you were to take a look at the information around diversity, equity, and inclusion, you would see the statement that Rotary believes that as a global network, we strive to build a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change. Rotary values diversity and celebrates the contributions of all people of all backgrounds, regardless of age, ethnicity, race, color, religion, socioeconomic status, culture, sex, sexual orientation, and gender identity. In addition, again, you can see the link that's listed below. You can also see some initial definitions of what diversity, equity, and inclusion mean. As I said, sometimes these terms are a little bit challenging, so what I want to focus on with you over the next 15, 20 minutes is just understanding what these terms mean in terms of Rotary. So let's start off with this term diversity. When I look at diversity, as shared before, it's the mosaic of people. If you look at that picture, it's multiple individuals of all different types of backgrounds, styles, perspectives, values. All of the individuals that that are in the room with you, as well as in our communities, all use these particular elements to bring these beliefs, assets, and values to our clubs to provide different perspectives, different ways of solving problems, and just simply different ways of looking at the world. Those things can actually help us grow and become stronger in terms of who we are from a Rotary perspective. The challenge, however, with diversity is there's things that we see, but there's also things that we don't see. So for example, if I take a look at what we call often the diversity iceberg, you'll see that there are visible aspects such as race, gender, age, and even language. But there are also things that we don't see often from a religion perspective, an education perspective, social class, beliefs, or culture. So when we look at diversity, there are again visible aspects, but there are also invisible aspects. All of these particular elements again add to the mosaic of the individuals who belong to our clubs and allow us to continue to be able to leverage these particular components as assets. So what does this look like from a Rotary perspective? Well, as I shared before, it's not just around race or sex or gender. It's also around thinking styles. It's also about experiences. It's thinking about religion, even perspectives. So all of these things, if we look at a typical Rotary Club, we'll see that we all have diversity of some type. It's not just the physical components, it's the things that, again, we bring to the table as part of who we are in terms of our backgrounds. And if you start to take a look at these things, not just as items, but these are strengths. There are people who have had different perspectives and different experiences. And when you think about some of the communities and some of the areas that we're trying to support, how valuable would it be to actually have the perspectives of those individuals that we're trying to fundraise for, and those individuals who are trying to benefit from the things that we do? They often provide us with views and ways of looking at the world that actually help us. So the more that we can include individuals who have these particular perspectives, the better we can be as an organization and as a club. So again, when we look at what diversity in Rotary is, it's more than just the things that we see. It's the things that all of us bring to the table in terms of what our backgrounds are. So if we can continue to grow these particular elements in our club, the other element around what the work that we're doing is around inclusion. So it's one thing to have people who have all different backgrounds and perspectives and views. It's another thing to make sure that they feel included, meaning that they have equal access to opportunities and they can fully contribute to the club's success. So again, in the example I used before, thinking through work that we might be doing from a fundraising perspective or an activity or a benefit perspective, how do we make sure that these individual perspectives are part of the groups that or part of the ways that we look at how we support our communities? What are the things that we can ask, that we can get back and start to leverage so that all of these different perspectives, the backgrounds and beliefs are part of how we make decisions? So there's diversity, which means that we have different people, but there's inclusion in the sense that those individual people are part of our committees, they're part of how we make decisions, and they're helping to help us look at the world much, much differently from what we've looked at before. So those two terms are important, but at the end of the day, the other term that I want to share with you today is this term around equity. And equity is a little tough from time to time because there's lots of confusion between this term equity versus equality. So what I'd like to do is to spend a little bit of time on this topic in terms of helping you understand that equity allows us to remove barriers to promote fair treatment and opportunity, but let's just see what that actually looks like from a picture perspective. So as I said before, people often confuse equality and equity. So let's start off by looking at the picture that you see on the screen. What equality is the assumption that everybody benefits from exactly the same support. So if you look at the top part of the picture, you will see that each of the people that are on the screen on the top all have a bicycle. In other words, they're going to use that bicycle to get somewhere. But you can also see that they're all different. So for example, the first woman is actually in a wheelchair. The second person is very, very tall. The third person fits very well on a bike. And the fourth person is kind of short. So if someone was looking at equality would say, hey, if you want to get from point A to point B, you got that bike, you got to figure out how to get from one place to another because everybody has the same bike. What equity does is say, listen, based upon your individual situation, the type of bike that you have may not work. So for example, if you look at the picture below, you'll see that the woman who's in a wheelchair, rather than having to use her legs to pedal, she's got something that allows her to use her hands. The second person, and rather than getting the same size bike as everybody else, he's got a bigger bike, which fits him. The third woman, exactly the same. And if you look at the fourth person, they have a bike that's the right size. So what equity tries to do is to say, listen, we understand that everybody needs to start out exactly the same, but we also have to realize that because of who these individuals are, we need to pay attention to what is it that we can do to make sure that these individuals are successful. What are the things that might be unique to their particular situations so that they can feel included, they can feel like they can just be successful just like everybody else. So that's again a key term that I want to make sure you understand the difference between equality and equity. Equality means everybody gets the same. Equity means that we pay attention to what everybody needs to be successful, and as a result, we might have some unique solutions for each type of individual. So once we look at diversity, equity, and inclusion, the other element that's part of our conversation today is just this sense of belonging. All of us who are in our meeting today feel like we belong to our club, right? We feel a sense of belonging because it's not because we're the same, but because we've been accepted in terms of who we are. We all have certain skill sets, but as a result of being a part of a club, we feel like, hey, my skill sets are valued, my backgrounds are valued, my perspectives are valued. And that's really what we're trying to do in terms of this entire initiative is to ensure that everybody, no matter who you are, feel like you can belong to a club, you can participate, you can be part of decision making, and you can be accepted for who you are. So given those particular terms, what we're doing in terms of our diversity, equity, and inclusion committee is starting out with a statement that says, we want to cultivate a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture of which people from underrepresented groups have great opportunities not only to participate as members, but also as leaders. So that's one of the goals that we want to share with all of our clubs is to make sure that we're reaching out to our communities, we're representing our communities appropriately, but individuals in our community see Rotary as a welcoming place to be. Being more open, more inclusive, again, thinking through our four-way test, building goodwill, being fair to all, and being obviously looking in terms of what benefits all as well. So this is the reason why we're doing it. But at the end of the day, we want our communities to say Rotary is a place that I can grow, that I can be accepted for, and that I could actually belong to. So with that in mind, a couple of things that are probably occurring as you're thinking through this statement is thinking about, well, so what are some of the benefits then of being able to do that? We've talked about a couple of these before, such as helping us consider different points of view. As I said before, part of the work that we try to do in our club is to make sure that if we're going to be fundraising or doing something for part of our communities, we make sure that we hear from the individuals in those particular areas that we're trying to benefit from by inviting them and asking them questions and how best can we serve you? What do you think that we can do that would help you be successful? How can you be part of our decision making so that we're really considering all different points of view? In addition, you can also take a look at the idea that you'll also get different skills and knowledge, not just different points of view, but individuals bring talent to our organization. They allow us to be able to grow in places that we probably didn't have before, right? Um, So this idea of being able to say Rotary not only grows in terms of members, but we also grow in terms of talent, that's also critical in terms of meeting our mission. As a result of getting multiple perspectives about problem solving, we can also increase club productivity. We can get more done. Retention is critical for us, and obviously, club morale is important for us as well. So a couple of key messages that I want to make sure that we talk through here is, again, it's not around race or age or gender. It's around multiple perspectives. It's also around making sure that we are doing the things that help support us as an organization. I will tell you another really interesting story, that the pandemic has definitely caused a lot of challenges in terms of our lives and the things that we've done. But the other interesting thing that has happened is that it's also given us an opportunity to be more innovative and to think a little bit differently about how to work with people and meet people. I'll give one of the examples I'll provide is that we often, when we think about our meetings, we think about them as being in person, where everybody gathers together, we talk, we share stories, and we work together in terms of solving some of the community's issues. Interesting thing that's happened is, as a result of the fact that we all had to think about working and meeting remotely, one of the groups that has been really impacted in a way that they couldn't do before are people who were physically disabled. Rather than having to figure out how to get to a meeting and then how to figure out how to get back to the meeting, many people who have been disabled have been able to increase their contributions through Zoom, because they're now on an equal basis in terms of being able to meet with people and to be able to share their perspectives and ideas. So it wasn't something that we necessarily thought about before, but now that we have the opportunity to connect in with people remotely, individuals who may be in a wheelchair or potentially just temporarily disabled through crutches have now been able to participate in meetings and get involved in activities and provide their perspectives and provide their talent as a result of the fact that we all had to kind of do the same thing and we were on equal ground. So as we come out of this pandemic, how can we continue to support individuals who may not be able to always be there in person because of whatever challenge, but still want to feel like they belong, they can provide their perspectives, they can provide their ideas. And these are some things that, again, that we're trying to just open everyone's mind to in terms of thinking about diversity as a way to say, how can we ensure that everybody has an opportunity to participate? Again, thinking back to that image that I showed you before about equity versus equality, how do we make sure that we can make sure that every single person has a unique ability to contribute, to add value, and to feel like they belong? And that's really part of the message that we want to make sure that we're sharing with you today. So at the end of the day, I really want to tell you that diversity and equity and inclusion, this work, it's the right thing to do. And you also see it again, it aligns very much against what we talk about as in terms of our four-way test, right? For those of you who are Mandalorian fans, there's a term that's used in that show called "This is the way." And for us, this is the way is our four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair? Will it build goodwill and build better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? In many ways, everything that we've just talked about does answer those questions in an affirmative way. And that's why we really want to make sure that we continue to grow our Rotary through this type of work. So as I look at the fact that we know that this is important, the other element is making sure that I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I'm not sure. Okay. Are we okay? Hello? Are you able to hear me okay?
Peter, we're getting a lot of feedback on your end.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually can't even understand you right now.
I can hear the weirdness coming out of the voice.
Anybody who watched The Mandalorian, this is actually The Mandalorian speaking.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do at this point, Peter, because like I said, we can't hear anything that you're saying.
Tell you what, let me turn this around. And I'm going to put something in chat. Give me a second. Give me 1 second.
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, I can hear you as well.
Sue, are you hearing Peter okay? Okay, yes.
Yes.
So, yes, the people in Zoom are hearing. It's something here, yes. Okay, yeah, so Peter, we've identified it's something here because
Sure.
people on Zoom can hear you.
Okay. Check the chat.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, try again, Peter.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, nope, nothing yet.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Mute the main computer, Eric, if you can hear me.
Hello, how about now? Hello? Hello?
I can hear you that I'm on a Zoom meeting. Can you hear me?
I can hear.
Huh, usually it's the opposite when on.
Yeah, Peter, we can
Nice to meet
we can hear you. It's just inside Brookside Country Club. So we heard.
Brookside will just tag that when they come for the yearly renewal.
Yeah. Hello, can anybody hear me out in the room? No, still not yet.
Anything you want to say, Jim, pertinent?
Hello, can you hear me now? Hello?
Go ahead, try again, Peter.
Hi, can you guys hear me now?
See, that's how you do it. You start something else and it comes back.
Thanks, Jim. All right, I've got a couple quick things just to finish up. I just wanted we talked about the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's talk about the things that enable this and from a club perspective. One is recognizing the differences that make us each unique. Another is, again, obviously attracting people from different backgrounds and respectable environment, creating an environment where people are appreciated, and recognizing how attitudes and differences influence actions with others. I won't go into detail just in terms of time, but I do want to let you know that recognizing differences that make us unique is a really critical aspect. Many clubs do things like celebrate heritage months in terms of understanding and getting a deeper dive into different backgrounds we have in the club, whether it's from a food perspective, maybe it's from a holiday perspective, or just understanding that, wow, I didn't realize that this particular group celebrates this particular holiday this way, and I want to know more about that because I find that to be very interesting. So those are things that we call enablers that clubs can do. On the other side of the fence, we also have to be careful of the diversity, equity, and inclusion barriers. So one of the barriers that's really the biggest challenge is a fear of change, and where we are fear of ideas and people who are different from us. And one of the quotes I really want to make sure that you hear is this quote from Alice Walker that says, "I think we have to own the fears we have of each other, and then in some practical way, some daily way, figure out how to see people differently than the way we were brought up to. Think about that for a second. We have life experiences that have said people who look like this, who are this particular thing, do this. We have to really understand that fear of change and hearing something different. We have to be conscious and purposeful about that. A second barrier is around bias. Again, making spontaneous judgments about about people based upon previous experiences or culture, exposure to media. So again, this is often acquired, and we have to be purposeful to say, I want to be open. I want to treat each person as an individual versus the group that they belong to. So these are barriers, and as I look at the work that we do in Rotary, I want to just leave you with this perspective about what can we do. Here's your cheat sheet in terms of what can Rotary members do to promote diversity, equity, inclusion. It's going to start with practice, practicing conversations and working cooperatively, being able to contribute, living up to the contract. How do you contribute to your fullest potential, strive for excellence? Recognizing and respecting others and their individuality versus the groups they belong to. We often wonder about like, okay, am I going to say the wrong thing? And obviously you want to take some time to think before you speak, but you also want to be open to say, listen, I'm not really sure about how this works, but I'm curious. Can you help me understand X, Y, and Z? Engage others, talk about your differences, ask questions in terms of how people want to be treated. And finally, probably the most important thing in terms of your cheat sheet is how do you eliminate stereotypes as well as generalizations? So as we finish today, I want to leave you with these two key terms. Diversity, different individuals valuing each other regardless of skin, intellect, talent, or years. And inclusiveness is really inviting others to join, normalizing it, committing to being inclusive, leading by example, uncovering strengths and talent, differentiating activities, and encouraging interaction. You will have this presentation to be able to leverage, and the combination of your little cheat sheet as well as these images are great ways for you to remember why this is important to Rotary and the different things that you can do in terms of leading by example and becoming a stronger, more welcoming club. I thank you very much for your time, and I would love to open this up to questions if you have. So whatever way that we can make that work, whether you want to put them in, and if somebody wants to type them in chat or if somebody wants to ask, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
We're right at 8:30, maybe one or two questions while we have Peter here. Anybody have a question you want to ask? Okay, Peter, I would love to have you come actually to one of our meetings sometime and chat with us as well. So I want to thank you on behalf of the club for being here. I hope this was recorded today. I think we'd like to have it for our members who were not here today. But thank you so much for being with us. A nice round of applause for Peter.
Thank you very much as well.
Nice overview. Thank you for the RI and just your perspective of what we're doing, and a great job by Jim and Alicia moving us forward on this particular topic. I'm going to wrap it up with just two reminders. Next week is the Paul Harris presentations and new member induction. JP, I think we have two new members. Is that correct? That will be inducting next week. I remember Eileen and Keith. Okay. And just a reminder, August 12th, the DEI working group will do a presentation that follows up from this, which is really super. The work that they've done and their information. Mine is a board meeting following today. I encourage everyone to come to that as well. You please rise. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance today. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with
Liberty and justice for all.
everyone.
How do we get a copy?
Megan has a copy of the presentation, and I'm going to ask her to send it out to everybody.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to move a little bit on the screen. Hey, Peter, can you hear me at all?
I can hear you fine. Yep.
At this point, we're going to end the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So again, thanks a bunch for putting up with our technology again today, which seems to
Not a
change
problem.
from week to week and all that. We appreciate it huge, and we'll look forward to having you here sometime.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody.
So long.